So we're with Scott here, KE4WMF. You have a YouTube channel. What's it called?
Stealth GTI.
Okay, I've seen that. I've seen him on YouTube.
The ham radio.
Ham radio related thing. I see it.
Right. So yeah, it's an automotive channel for my GTI.
Yeah.
But if you search YouTube, what is YouTube's the second best or second most comprehensive search engine on the internet?
Probably sounds about right. Yeah.
Because they're owned by Google.
Yeah.
So if you search hashtag KE4WMF, that'll take you right to my ham playlist, if you will.
And what drew me to his channel, he's got an antenna on his car. Today he's got a few more, so I'm gonna have him tell us what he's got. So Scott, if you wouldn't mind sharing with the kids what all of this is all about.
Well, I started off with just a dual bander.
Okay.
Stealth GTI, because everything's hidden, and all I had was the black dual bander. Nobody knew that I had ham radio in the car.
Yeah.
And then I got, actually I got the ATAS next.
Yep.
But then I quickly got over to the Scorpion.
Yep.
So I'm starting to blow it a little bit as far as that stealth look goes. But the Scorpion comes off.
I think you can put a few more on first.
Yeah.
Once you start really raising the tower up.
Yep. So then but the Scorpion only goes on when I know I want to do HF.
Yeah.
So it stays in the garage. But then COVID happens, right?
Yeah.
So now we're all cooped up or whatever, bored. I was bored, right? So yeah, I decided to just kind of go ham nutty about it. And so I started off with the horizontals, the horizontal loops on a module.
Okay.
And then once so I would put that up only on the weekends. And then once
now, which ones are these?
These are the M2 loops. So I've got 50.
So this one here and that one.
And 232 down here.
Oh, look at that little guy.
Little thing.
Yeah, okay.
It fits in the palm of my hand. So
I'm sorry, what bands?
So if I'm doing ham speak, 6, 2, and 70 centimeters.
6 is the big one, 2, and then 70 centimeters?
Yep. And so that's on a module that comes off with 4 bolts.
And
you're
doing sideband on this?
Yes.
Okay.
So I would do that on the weekends only. So it was off the car most of the time. But I wanted to keep the rack on full time. So once I started keeping the rack on full time, all right, let's populate it with antennas. And so I put some antennas.
I like the way you think.
So then I decided once I got into a little bit of contesting, it's like, all right, let's do Yagis. Let's build a limited rover, which is the 4 lowest bands of VHF, UHF. And so that was when I added the 432.
Okay.
And then, so basically I have duplicated the 6, 2, and 70 centimeters on beams.
Okay.
And I control them with a switch.
What is this, a Moxon up top?
Yes, it's actually called a stress Moxon because it's just put together with tension.
Okay.
And so
really?
Yeah, I can break it down and store it very easily. And so you can see how those elements are just kind of bowed the way they are.
Yeah.
So I just got to take the tension off of them and they'll just slip right out and then I can break it down.
Giving Chuck KK6 USY some ideas there. He's a big Moxon guy.
That is by Par Electronics.
Okay.
And so and it's reasonably priced, I think. And then these the beams are by DS, Directive Systems Engineering.
Okay.
And so these are known as Rover Specials. And they call them Rover Specials because the boom is 8 feet long, which means that if I rotate on the road, I'm not exceeding the 8-foot limitation for motor vehicles.
Like while you're driving?
Yes. I don't do it, but...
As far as we know.
Yes, but Andrea, K2EZ, she's very proud of a picture of her vehicle doing it.
Really?
Somebody snapped a photo of her and her beam is turned, which means she was working somebody.
Wow,
so,
that is ridiculous.
So
we're what, 2 meters on top, 70 on the bottom?
Yes.
Okay.
And I get asked a lot why...
What are we talking as far as gain?
Oh, I don't quite remember.
The
Moxon is, I want to say, 3 dBd.
Okay.
And then the 2 meter is 10 dBd.
All right.
And then the 432 is, I can't remember, I think it's 13 dBd. I was about to say 15, but I think it's 13 dBd.
I mean, there's so many directors on there, especially on that 70 centimeter one.
And then I don't have
where
a
it's
220.
fed right here, and then there's your reflector, and then all these directors. That is impressive.
15 elements.
Yeah. Jeez.
And it's road legal, so I mean.
It's road legal. You just drive down the street like that.
Yeah. Now I wouldn't. Now if I were to boom it while I'm driving down the road, I wouldn't be looking at the the indicator. My eyes would be on the road. I'd have my finger on the button,
Yeah.
and I would just be driving and listening until I heard the signal peak.
Yeah.
And then I pick up a microphone and talk.
Okay.
I've got a voice recorder in the car, so I can record the QSO and then log it later.
And then, so let's talk about the base itself. What do we got going on here? We got homebrew something here.
Yep,
Looks like
standard roof rack.
Okay.
And it's rated for 165 dynamic, which means as the car moves, it'll support 165 pounds.
Okay.
And then I just have these decking boards.
Okay.
And so these are factory rack attachments for putting gizmos and gadgets on a rack. So these are by Yakima as well.
Okay.
And so this one is blank and serving two purposes. One is when I take this all down, it weighs 75 pounds.
Okay.
And so what I do is I fasten the other side like these guys. I move the guy to over here so then I can unbolt it. It's held down by 12 bolts.
Okay.
I unbolt it and then I tip it and then it stops like this, right? So this is here to keep it from falling on the paint.
Yeah.
Then I unfasten the boom and pull it out and separate it and then pull it down because it's 50 pounds if I do it that way. It's more manageable.
So looking at these guy wires, are these just suction cups holding this on?
Yeah. This is by a company called Sea Sucker, and they got their start with bicycle racks.
Okay.
So imagine trying to put a bike rack on a Lamborghini or something. You can't do it.
I have that problem.
That's what these are for. And then they just expanded into camping, overlanding, and all kinds, boating, marine applications. Here's how easy it is to take off. Right, see that thing right there? Broke the suction, there it is.
Wow.
And see how it's got that orange there?
Yep.
So all I do,
You pump it.
I just put a little tension on it. I don't like it right there. Put it right there, and then just pump. And when the orange disappears, you're good.
Wow.
And when I stop for a break, I check to make sure no orange is showing, and then
Yeah.
I pump it up. I take the tension out with the turnbuckles.
So how fast have you driven down the road with this on?
75?
Really?
Yep.
Wow. That's
I don't like to
insane.
go faster than that, not because of these, but because of that.
Because of
that cap hat catches a lot of wind, and so it moves a lot, and it'll heat up and probably fold over.
And this is what I've seen on your YouTube video. Okay, so we haven't even looked at the inside here.
This is a new overhaul. So this I've only just very recently shared this on my own
I think the last video
channel.
you were talking about kind of hooking some stuff up in it. But I specifically remember just this big, beautiful, delicious scorpion antenna.
Yeah, it's getting a little banged
So
up
you
now.
got some heat behind this. Otherwise, I mean, what is this, 80 through 6?
Yes, no, 80 through 10.
80 through 10,
But
okay.
with the cap hat, I lose the higher bands, so I can only go to 17 meters. And get this will kill you. 17 meters here on asphalt. I learned through experimenting that on pavement, I can't tune it because there's rebar in the pavement, and it detunes the antenna because it's so low to the ground.
Oh, wow.
And yes, viewers, I do know that this is not a fantastic place to mount an HF antenna, but it's my only option on this tiny little car.
Yeah.
So it works.
looks
It's
good
just
to me.
not as good if I had a nice big roof under it.
Yeah. So you want to tell us what's going on in the boot, as they say, across the pond?
Sure. When I'm looking at the backs of the radios, I forget which one is which. So I am going to go with...
It's a beautiful install.
Thank you. So I've got my primary radio everyday ID 5100. There, second over. And then I used to have the FT857 installed as my HF rig, right? So then I took it out because I then got an FT891, which I think you love and appreciate.
I do. I recognize the back of it.
And then once I decided, and then I held on to the 857 because oddly enough, it's more valuable now than it was when I bought it brand new 15 years ago. They're selling it for like $1,300.
Yeah.
Well, when I decided I wanted to try VHF contesting, so for 15 years I never used that radio on 2 meters or 440. It was my HF rig.
Yeah.
And now, ironically, I am using it for 2 meter and 440.
Why not?
Single sideband.
Why not?
It was the cheapest way to get into contesting was to use something I already had.
Yeah.
So that's what I have there. The piece in the middle is it's marketed as a super booster. You can see the call on there, N8XJK.
Yeah.
This one is from the man himself, but these days they're sold by West Mountain Radio.
Okay.
Slightly different configuration, but still functionally the same. So what it does is no matter what the input voltage is, like say you're working with, I mean, who works with lead acid these days? But if you are, and your lead acid battery's dropping below 12 volts and 11 volts, anything above 10.5 volts, that thing will take it and boost it to whatever you set it to.
Gotcha.
So in my case, I have it set for 14.2 volts.
Okay.
and it'll output up to 40 amps.
Wow.
So in the future, I have some space set aside here to get another one for the amplifiers, because this is only working on the radios.
These are 2-meter amplifiers, or what do we have here?
2 meter here and 70 centimeters here.
Okay.
I like
How many watts?
160.
Okay.
In their dreams, I suppose. I think on single sideband it'll do 110 realistically.
Okay. Both of them will do that?
This will do 180, or excuse me, 80. This will do 80
okay.
in their dreams, so probably closer to 50 on single sideband.
Okay. Nice.
And the thing I like about the Mirage, and this is my head knocker right there, is it's got the remote control that goes up in the front. So I don't have to open all this up, pull out my cargo if I want to turn on the amp. I can just do it all from the front, and I like that.
You want to show us inside?
Yeah, sure.
All right, let's take a look at that.
Gosh, I wonder if we should show the other stuff that's associated with it.
Whatever you want to do.
I've got the power right inside that window, so I've got my 100 amp hour lithium battery.
Where is that at here?
It's wrapped in that insulation. I call
that says "Do not touch."
I call that my baked potato battery. But there's an RV heating, an RV holding tank heater underneath it.
Okay.
So when it gets below freezing, it keeps the battery warm.
Wow. And what kind of battery? I'm sorry.
It's a 100 amp hour lithium. I'm going to mess up this.
Lithium iron phosphate.
I'm not used to saying. I usually just say LifePo.
Yeah.
And so that's
brand. Or did you just buy the cells?
Fortune. Yeah. So I bought the cells and assembled it. There's a BMS under there.
Gotcha.
So 120 amp BMS, I think. Maybe 135.
Okay.
And then DC to DC converter right there by Vitron.
Okay. And so which one is that? That little white box or the blue one?
No, the blue one. Yeah, the blue one.
That one.
Yeah, so I'm pointing, but your point's probably better. That thing does three things that I like. First, it isolates my starter battery from this battery.
Okay.
It's a charger, so it goes through all the phases of battery charging, being flood, I forget what they're called, bulk. I forget what the middle one is. The last one is float.
Float,
And then so it goes through the three stages properly.
Yeah.
I forget that middle one. Whew. Anyway, it's the stress of being on the camera here.
No pressure.
And then the last thing it does is it outputs up to 30 amps.
Okay.
But limits to 30 amps. So that means, you know that if you just attach a lithium battery right to your alternator, it's going to suck 200 amps out of it and blow your alternator up. That limits it. So even if I'm keyed up and drawing 100 amps from all of this, my alternator will not give up more than, well, in my case, it's 27.
That's good.
Because it's 30 amps at 12.6 volts, but because I'm outputting 14.2, that brings the amps down to 27.
Okay.
And then once that heats up, that goes down a little bit. So usually I'm around 22 amps, which is very safe for the alternator.
Absolutely.
And then very well fused circuit breakers.
Yeah, it's an absolutely beautiful install.
And forced ventilation. I forgot to point that out. So
look at all those fans there.
3 fans here, 3 fans there. And when all these doors are closed, the air gets pushed through and then across all the equipment.
Okay.
Exits through these holes and then out here. So then it comes into the space where hopefully it recirculates with air conditioning.
Yeah.
And then some of it actually exits through the cars because there's vents in bumpers. A lot of people don't know their cars have vents in them.
Okay.
But some of that heat goes out through those vents as well.
Nice.
So that's that. And then over here is the switching for the, that's the power coming from the front. So up here on the door, that main relay there is coming from the battery.
Okay.
This APO3, it energizes that relay only when the engine is running.
Okay.
So that's a secondary way to isolate the two batteries from each other so there's no accidents. Then that's my WeBoost cellular signal booster. That's what this antenna's for.
Yep.
And alternate charging path right there. I don't ever use it, but in case I need, like right here, if I can't start the car to charge, I got another battery there. I can just plug it in and charge it that way. And
then tell us about all these.
Those are coaxial relays. And so what they do, I don't remember if I said it, but I operate on the beams or on the loops.
Okay.
So I have a switch up there that you can't see because it's black, but I switch that switch and then it selects beams or loops.
Oh,
so that's what it's doing, left or right.
Jeez.
And so then all the feed comes up here to this pass-through.
Yeah, look at all this. Oh, wow, you legit have a pass-through here.
Oh, yeah.
That's not like just your windows open. Wow. You have problems. That is just gorgeous. I mean, it's such a nice wiring job too. Wow.
Here, check this out. I forgot about this. All day people have been taking pictures of all this. I wonder how many of them are going to get home and see that orange thing there and say, wow, what is that? It's a vacuum cleaner. I forgot to put it away.
Well, you got to stay tidy, you know?
Yes. It's a show, man.
Yeah.
I gotta be tidy.
And then you got a little tray here for login. Wow. So let's get a shot in here. So there's the, was it the 857?
857D.
Yep. And the MFJ controller for the screwdriver there. That's your rotator?
Yep.
Yep. And what are you logging with?
N3 FJP.
Okay. Beautiful.
And I use hammers for POTA. I like it.
Yeah,
For
good.
POTA, I often use a tablet.
Yeah, sure.
So the tablet's a whole lot more convenient. Quite frankly, that desk isn't usually in the car unless I'm doing FT8. Maybe, well, I'm not even heavy duty HF ops. I suppose if I'm doing HF without POTA.
Yeah.
All right, let me retake that. I suppose if I'm doing HF without POTA, that I would use the laptop, but I like the tablet interface well enough. I've got an external keyboard that is not on the desk like it ought to be. I got here with my hair on fire, and so I haven't set everything up quite like I normally would. But usually, the thing I like best is I'll put the tablet on one of the mounts up there on the dash, and then I've got a Bluetooth keyboard that I'll just sit there in front of me, and I'll just type in call signs.
Oh, here's the other radios. I see.
Yeah.
There's the 891 and the was it the 5100?
ID 5100.
Yep.
And then I've got a voice recorder up there that I use for.
Where's that?
It's where the
Somewhere
sunglass
up there?
holder is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Jeez.
Oftentimes I have my thermometers up there because I have remote sensors for the radios and my refrigerator. There's usually a refrigerator sitting right here.
Refrigerator.
Yeah.
You got to have priorities.
There it is. Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
I got to have my snacks, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so when these panels are closed, I got a refrigerator there and my emergency kit's there. And,
Oh, so this all folds down.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a door that folds down, and then I put cargo in there.
Oh, wow. That is too cool.
This used to be
what is this, a Volkswagen Golf?
GTI.
GTI.
It's known as a Golf GTI everywhere but the United States. In the U.S., we call it a GTI.
Okay. Wow. Well, that is awesome. Scott, thanks so much for showing us around your awesome Nerdmobile. Do you have a name for it?
No.
No.
It's just my car.
Awesome Nerdmobile. I love this thing. This is cool. Hey, man, thanks so much for showing us
nice
around.
chatting with
Appreciate
you.
it.